This is Click This, Transforming Visitors into Prospects. It's part of the Content and Inbound series from the Digital Toolbox by RoundPeg. My name is Lorraine Ball and I'm going to be your host today. My company, RoundPeg, has been developing websites and building landing pages for more than a decade. And today I'm going to share with you some of our favorite tips and tricks. When it comes to converting visitors and prospects, it starts with the landing page. And so that's where we're our conversation today. Everyone is doing it. Everyone in every industry, we're seeing these landing pages pop up. And the question, well, mostly because it works. Now, this process of creating a landing page and making an offer and exchanging it for an email is more effective in some industries than others. As you can see, travel does significantly better than real estate. Consulting is very effective. Legal industry, moderately so. But the point is that this process works in just about any industry. So, as you're going through the presentation today, think about your business, your industry. How can it apply? Couple of ground rules. Number one, the landing page starts with a lead magnet, and the lead magnet is what you offer in exchange for the email. The best lead magnets are short, they're simple to create, quick to consume, and they leave the prospect wanting more. So as you're thinking about your offer, what you want to think about is, what can I offer that will demonstrate how much I know, demonstrate my ability to solve someone's problem, but not completely solve their problem. Why? Because at the end of the day, this is designed to get someone into your sales funnel. So you want to answer their question, but maybe leave them with questions. It starts by proposing an exchange, a very simple exchange. We're going to give you this. You give us your email. In this instance, Shopify is actually trading a demo for an email address. They're convinced that if you try the product, you will buy. It needs to be valuable. It needs to be something that people actually want. I've seen companies try to create landing pages where they were actually giving you their sales brochure in exchange for your email address. No, don't really care enough, because that's information you should just be giving me. Now, a case study, that's something I might trade for. It has to be valuable. It has to be something that someone would want to, quote, pay for with their email address. So start thinking about what you can trade and making it look attractive to a prospective customer. Maybe it's a resource, a white paper. Here they're telling you this is a 23-page guide. Well, that sounds pretty good in exchange for just my name and email. So think about, what do you know? Industry data, survey results, how-to guides. We have a lot of success with some of our food clients by offering cookbooks with recipes that use the particular product we're selling, and case studies. Customers are always interested to see this product or service work for other businesses. Think about things that you know that your audience doesn't. Do you have white papers, research papers, workbooks? In some industries, a checklist workbook that allow people to organize information or actually do some planning makes them feel like they're in control, but also prepares them for a better conversation with you when they're ready to buy. Resource links. If there's lots of information in your industry and you collect a page that has really great and you keep it updated, then hiding it behind a gate and promoting it as 100 best links in our industry works really well until you stop updating that page. So if you're going to do a resource link page, you gotta keep it updated. And finally, scorecards. I just want to touch on this. People, how we're wired, all through school, we're competitive. We want to know, how did we do on the test and how does that rank compared to everybody else? So any kind of interactive scorecard, audit, questionnaire, people are going to be happy to participate. And the trick with the scorecards and the calculators is let people start answering the questions, but then they get down to the bottom and maybe you give them a raw number. Want to see what your number means? You got to give us your email address, because at the end of the day, that's the currency that you're looking for, is their contact information. What can you trade? Don't think about it as a sales brochure. I mentioned earlier that, I've seen companies try to gate their sales brochure. That doesn't do very well. But a how to buy our product, now that does, particularly if you're in an industry where people don't buy the product regularly. So for example, flooring. I mean, how many times are you going to buy floor for your home? So offering consumers a how-to guide with information on what they need to know before they start buying floor or shopping for floors, this download works really well. People are interested in this information, and now we've got their email address and we can send them sales promotions and specials. Collections. Use what you have. I loved this resource, and it's from a website that competes with us. And what they did is they took some of their best white papers and workbooks and blog posts, and they bundled it all in what they call their digital marketing toolbox. Sounds familiar. That's okay. It's a good idea. They've collected these resources, made them available, and all you have to do is give them your email address. And the beautiful thing is all of these things were already created, so they didn't have to go back and reinvent the wheel. But maybe you're not in the business of creating white papers all the time, but you are blogging. This is a trick that we use for a number of our clients. We create collections of blog posts. Sure, if you're interested, you could search the Randall Beans recipe for a website for all the different baked bean recipes. Each one lives in its own blog post. Or you can download the cookbook that has all the recipes in one place. And it's really simple. Here they've described what it is. Give us your email, you get the cookbook. Does it work? Well, I will tell you, when we started working with Randall Beans, their email list had about 250 names on it. We've worked with them for a long time, and this is the strategy that we have used over that time to generate their email list. The list topped out about 9,000 names. So does it work? You tell me. What else? What else? Discounts and specials. You can, if you're more of a retail establishment, create a landing page that allows people who sign up for clubs or memberships to get discounts and specials on your products and services. Offer product previews. Want to see the latest technology before everybody else? Well, go ahead and sign up now. You can sign up for special event invitations, podcasts, webinars, videos, calculators. Again, I talked about the calculators. What you offer is going to vary based on what's in your business and what people will value. Think about, regardless of the business that you're in, think about what can you use as a preview. Okay, so great lead magnets. Couple more points on the lead magnet, and we're going to switch to the landing page construction itself. Ultra specific. Here's the key. You can't go broad. You can't try to create something that everybody wants, because there isn't something that everybody wants. So think narrow. Instead of and I used this example yesterday, instead of a blog post on retirement planning for people at every age, create 4 blog posts. And here, create 4 landing pages and workbooks. Retirement planning for Gen Z, retirement planning for millennials, retirement planning for Gen Y or Gen X, and what to do now that you have started collecting Social Security. How do you manage your retirement funds? Ultra specific. The second thing is immediate gratification. I'm going to give you my email. I need to get whatever it is you're offering me. You are afraid of giving away your stuff. You're afraid of a lot of people giving you bad email addresses or something. And you tell them, okay, now that I've got your email address, I'm going to email you the information. You better do it fast. You better make sure that your auto response system is sending that email right away, or people are going to get annoyed. It needs to be something that people can consume rapidly. While a 23-page guide sounds great, the truth is I may only get through pages 2 and 3, and then I get bored or distracted. You're probably better off creating 3 or 4 smaller lead magnets and getting me to come back time and time again. Fewer people will come back, but the ones that do, you know they're really interested. It's got to have a high perceived value. I know you're giving it away for free, but so's everybody else. Remember, I showed you that chart. Everybody's doing it. So what you're offering has to sound like something I can't get anywhere else. And it's designed to shift the relationship. It's designed to move someone who is just breezing through your website into that category of someone who's really interested in who you are and how you can solve their problem. Free trials are great. Now, this doesn't work in every industry, but if you have a product or service where you can give someone a little taste, make sure you have a plan to paying customers, but think about the free trial. And I mentioned earlier the immediate payoff. When I see this offer, free updates and my 20-week e-course, I'm thinking, oh my Lord, I don't have time. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing in 20 weeks. If I was redesigning this, I would do a 5-part e-course, and then at the end of part 5, I would offer people the opportunity to sign up for the next part and the next part. Well, what if they don't? Well, then they aren't interested. I don't like the design necessarily of this page, but I love what they've done. Grow enough food to feed a family of 4 in 4 square feet of space. Get instant access. This tells me that as soon as I give you my email address, I'm going to get this. and it's very specific, and I can use it right away. To me, even though I don't love the layout, this is a great landing page. So let's talk about the perfect landing page. Let's talk about designing a page that will lead visitors to yes. This is a good overview of what a great landing page should look like. You need to have some kind of a strong image that pulls people in, a good quality headline, a little bit of supporting text, and a large call to action button, the sign up form, and maybe a testimonial. Here's an example of what that can look like in reality. Here's your great headline. Here's that nice photo, a little bit more promise, and your call to action. I love this because it is short, it's concise. If I was designing this, I might make this the whole page, or I might have more information, more supporting information underneath, and then another call to action button. Now, one of the things that you'll notice with this screen grab is there's no navigation. You get to this page and maybe you can get back to their home page, but nowhere else. That's the key. You want to limit the distractions. If you have created an email campaign, a direct mail campaign, maybe a social media or advertising campaign that's driving traffic to this page, you don't want people to leave without giving you their email address. You want to have a nice prominent call to action. Don't bury this button way down at the bottom of the page. This is another example of a nice landing page. Again, I would probably not do these links up here, only because I don't want distraction. I want people to see the headline, maybe the reasons I should buy, the call to action. Testimonials are very handy. And there you go. Here's an example of that page in action. Little bit more information. There's the picture. What do you get? And there's the form and the submit button. And we're going to talk about that word submit in a little while. All these pages that I'm showing you are good, and they're good examples, but they're not really perfect. And the key to designing a great landing page is actually a little bit of testing. You may design two versions of the same page, and I would strongly recommend it. And I would strongly recommend running campaigns that drive half of the people to one and half the people to the other, and see which of the two designs really did a better job for your customers. Again, looking at the page, you can put a video. We see a lot of people who use a video, short, 30 seconds, minute tops, to talk about whatever you're giving away. Little bit of information, the CTA. Not convinced? Come down. Here's some more benefits, blah, blah, blah. Here's some testimonials. Again, I would repeat this down here. And this is a good example of using those testimonials. There's some other design elements, although to me, this is way too busy. I think there's way too many words on this page. But the things that I love this little arrow from the picture to the button. And I love this. Yes, save my seat. You see that a lot lately, where there are two buttons and one is like, no, particularly in pop-up, no thanks, I don't want to grow my business, or yes, I want to grow my business. And so you almost feel like an idiot not pushing the yes button. And then I like the testimonials because though that one seems a little bit odd, these two look like real people. If you can create testimonials and images that people can relate to, it will certainly help get people interested in filling out your form. I mentioned it on the last one, and I'm going to sort of re-hit that again. I love several things that are done on this page. Everything on this page is designed to drive your attention to the submission form. There's some nice white space around the form, and white space is not necessarily just colored in white. It just refers to the idea that there's some air and some space around the item. I love the use of the bright red to catch your attention and pull your eye, and then I love the use of the arrow driving you from this to the form. And you've got your supporting text here. I am not sure I would necessarily give people the option of switching over to Twitter if they don't download. I think this page is strong enough. Either fill out the form or don't. As you're designing your form, you have to think about not just what is it going to look like on desktop, but what's it going to look like on mobile. So for example, let me go back at this page. This is really cool, but when this goes to mobile, what happens? Does this go and then the form? So how do you do this effect on a mobile device? So these days, a lot of our landing pages, we actually design them mobile first. Why? Because 56% of web traffic comes from mobile devices. So lots of customers are looking at your landing pages on their phones. The page needs to display well, and the form needs to be easy to fill out. And so you want to streamline your design for mobile. Yes, this is a lovely display. You've got pretty pictures, you have the form, you've got lots more pictures. But if this page is viewed on mobile, well, it looks like this. It's a little narrower, but the form is still pretty quick. And you'll notice that there's not a lot of fields. And this is a drop down. When you're designing forms with mobile, if you have to have more detailed information, and I would argue that most times you don't, but if you do, using a drop down to make it easy for people to scroll and just click the information will increase the number of people who fill out your form. Which then brings me to a conversation about submission forms. The general rule is the more you ask for, the fewer responses you're going to get. And so every field on your form needs to be absolutely vital. A lot of times people will ask for a phone number, but they have no intention of ever calling. So why are you asking for a phone number? If you do, you'll see a 5% conversion dip if you ask for the number. Now, if your marketing program requires a phone follow-up and you legitimately are going to call, then that's a field worth including. But if you're not, if you know that you are never going to call and you're just collecting the phone number because you kind of should, don't. You'll see a 2% dip if you ask for city and state. Now, if you are a local business and you're only going to work with local customers, maybe. But if you're not driving over to their location, don't ask for it in the first conversion form. Why? Because as that customer moves through your sales process, you're going to have repeat interactions. You're going to have additional chances to ask them other information. And you see a 4% dip if the street address is requested. Unless you are going to mail them, physical mail, a letter after the very first interaction, do not include this field. So think about, what do you really need? These are two very different landing pages, and I think there are the right number of fields on each. So let's talk about them. The first one, very specific promise, 180 blog post ideas right in your inbox. All you need, your name, your first name. I don't even care about your last name, and your email. Yes, please, or no, thanks. Perfect. Now, here you're making an offer that's very simple. As soon as they fill out the form, they'll automatically get the ideas. You've automated the process. There's no work involved. And so quite honestly, you don't care whether 100, 1,000, or 10,000 people fill out that form. Your system is going to take care of it. On the other hand, if you're offering a trial, a preview, a demo, free Facebook ad evaluation, this is a higher level of delivery. There's some work involved, and it's going to cost the company offering it some time and money. And so in exchange for this higher level of value, they're asking for a little more. They're asking for the phone number and the Facebook page. It's still probably pretty automated, but the difference between these two pages is how much you're offering and how labor intensive it will be to deliver the benefit. In this case, you don't want 10,000 people signing up because you can't handle that. So match the form to drive the right prospects, because it's going to be a higher level of quality delivery in return. Design matters. If a form looks like a cluttered mess, people are going to go, ooh, no. So lots of white space, form fields that are big and easy to see. In this instance, I think they've made a mistake. Well, I can see that this is an international company, so having the country of origin is actually probably important for them in terms of following up. But I would argue that the country of origin is something that you can get in a follow-up conversation. Also, if you're asking for their corporate email address, do you really need their company name? It may sound like a little thing, but that much longer, and on a mobile phone, if it takes that much longer, you may want to say, well, maybe I don't need that. From a design perspective, I think this page is pretty. There's a simple form. There's not a lot of information about what you're downloading, because my guess is there was an email or an ad or something somewhere else that talked about it. So by the time you got to this page, you were ready to fill it out. Let's talk about button style. Several things that are really important. Number one, all caps, all caps, all caps, all caps. Now, for someone like me that's kind of the E.E. Cummings of the marketing world, I love lowercase letters. You can see it in my logo. Telling me that I have to do all caps on a button was kind of hard. I'm like, ooh, no, it feels like I'm yelling at them. Here's the thing. You're running ad campaigns. You're running social media campaigns. You're designing worksheets, all geared to drive people to this moment, to get them to fill out your form. It's okay to yell at them a little bit. So make your buttons big and bold. Use contrasting colors. If your website has lots of blues and greens, make that button orange so it jumps off the page. And you can see both of those colors work on this page with lots of white space because they actually, and the reason they work is because they contrast with the other colors on the page. So like on my website, we use lots of teal and blue. And so then we have that orange as an extra color. And don't be afraid to go big. Don't be afraid to make that button a little bit bigger than you think it should be. Again, you want it to jump off the page. Also, don't be afraid to do a little bit of motion. When you roll over the button, maybe a little arrow pops up or something else that just kind of attracts people's attention and makes it sort of dance a little bit and pulls them in. Colors have meaning. You know, I have a love-hate relationship with red. On the one hand, it is a color that creates a little bit of energy and excitement. And on the other hand, it's the color of stop signs. So it's not my favorite color for buttons. I like orange. I think orange combines or pulls some of the colors, some of the benefits of red without that sort of warning. It is a great call to action color, and it's a nice complementary color to blues and greens. Yellow is hard because it's a little bit harsh on the eyes, but yellow is a bright, fun color. It is great for clearance signs. It's great to pull your eyes and your attention to get you to look at something. I would use yellow in conjunction with some kind of very dark color. It's really orange text works, red text works. You can't use yellow for your words, but you can use it for background colors and places where you want to draw the eye. Purple is, and especially dark purple, is a power color for women. So if your product is geared towards women and women's empowerment, purple is a great color. Lighter shades of purple, lavenders, are typically associated with cosmetics and romance and sort of very calm, but strong purples, definitely a power color for women. Blue, typically associated with trust, reliability. That's why IBM is big blue. That's why banks are blue. Green happens to be one of the easiest colors for the eye to process. It tends to be associated with wealth, with relaxation. It's also associated with environmental issues. And again, that light lavender is a little bit more relaxing, or maybe that's supposed to be pink and my monitor is off. If that is supposed to be a pink square, let me talk about that for a moment. Light pinks are great for young girls. If your market is 17 and under, which a lot of companies make a lot of money in that market, pink is fine. It is a really hard color to use for more mature audiences. It just gives the whole thing a very childish feel. Black is typically associated with luxury items. So if you're using black and white photography, lots of gray images, a strong black button is awesome. You can use a red button on black. Be careful about using orange buttons on too much black and white. It gives it a little bit of a Halloween-y feel. And if that's not the look you're going for, don't go there. And white, kind of purity. Again, white's a hard color to use, let's say, for a button or a call to action because it sort of disappears into the page. And I know I've just talked about all these colors and the fact that colors have meaning. Here's the kicker. Colors don't always mean the same thing to everyone. Depending on the age and the gender of your audience, when asked to tell them the colors that they think most likely reflect that word, trust blue, green, and white. What you don't see is you don't see anything on the red and orange spectrum. So if you're trying to build authority and credibility, stay in the blues and greens. Quality, blues and blacks. Reliability, security. If you're looking, and again, and tech also, blues, greens, and grays. On the other hand, if you're going for more fun, well, that's where your yellows and oranges and purples come in. Scary, red and black. So now, here's the challenge. Quality, reliability, tech, and fear. So how you use the black is going to pull different emotions from different people in your audience. Speed, almost always associated with shades of red. Courage, reds and purples, kind of giving you that bold and assertive feel, and a little bit of strength coming from the blues. And cheap, oranges and yellows are going to make you seem cheaper than the high quality blacks and blues. And so there are general guidelines for color. You always want to look at colors that go with your brand, but you also want to maybe test a little bit because, again, different colors mean different things to different people. When you're creating a call to action, and this is really where the color starts to come in, because this is the headline, the phrase, the button that people pay attention to. On your button, 1 to 3 words. And as I said earlier, all caps. It is click now, not click now. You want to select words for your buttons that command action. Get started. So I fill in whatever information I'm filling in, and then I know either what I'm supposed to do or where I go next. Words like click, register, go convey a sense of motion and action. So I'm filling this out and I push the button and boom, I get whatever it is I'm supposed to get. The one thing I would change on this form, I would make the word register in all caps. I love the teeny little arrow that kind of gives you that sense that when you're done with this, you're going to go somewhere else. Promise a benefit. You can, in your call to action, promise what they're going to get. Get the case study, grab the workbook, download the report. When you fill out the information and you push the button, you get what's coming next. Honestly, he doesn't need the word now. It's just adding an extra word to the sentence. It's just something I have to read, but it doesn't really add any value. And I would have done the 4 words all caps. From a design perspective, one of the reasons I think that he's done upper and lower case is he has 5 words, and it's hard to read a lot of words in all cap. We learn to read in elementary school in upper and lower case. We can read a few words in all cap, but if you've ever gotten an email from someone and they type the whole thing in all caps, it's almost unreadable. It is almost impossible to decipher because your brain just doesn't work that way. And so when you start to get long calls to action, you start to go upper and lower case. You start to speak more quietly to the viewer. So in my mind, love the arrow, get the case study now, move on. Don't submit. The default on almost every form is submit. You have to manually change the wording. But here's what this study, and I think this was by Unbounce, discovered. Any of these words, click, go, download, register, outperformed submit. So when you're done creating that great landing page and that pretty form, do not get sloppy and stay at submit. There's no promise there, there's no benefit, and the worst part is most people don't actually want to submit to anything. If you build it, they will come, right? You know, you're going to create this great landing page and it's all going to be perfect. Yeah, not so much. Not unless you actively promote it. And you need to think about all the places that you're talking to people online and offline and look for ways to get them to your landing page. Whether you put a link in your email newsletter, whether you put information on other pages on your website. This is one of my favorite tricks. You already have somebody, they're kind of interested, drive them to that landing page. Use online ads, use social media, and offline promotions. If you're going to do this, you want to make sure that the URL for your landing page is pretty concise. On our page, roundpeg.biz/survey, that is a URL that we use very specifically for our annual Internet Marketing Report. And it's really easy to just tell somebody our email, our web address, roundpeg.biz/survey, and they can get to that page and they can download the report and they can participate in the survey. We change the content on the page, but the URL always stays the same. If you're going to put internal links on your website, create some graphics, some fun things that drive people to that landing page. Remember earlier I showed you the recipe collections from Randall Beans? Well, we create these pretty little footers and drop them on the website and drive people to the landing page. Create social shares, create graphics that you can drop into social media with very specific actions and drive them to your page. And now that I've gone through this entire presentation talking about lead magnets and landing pages and how they're very niche and very specific, I'm going to turn the whole conversation on its ear. And I'm going to tell you that every page on your website is a landing page. These days, less than half of your web traffic comes to your homepage. People show up on all sorts of pages on your website, finding them through Google search and finding them through links and emails. And every single page needs to have some kind of clear next step or conversion opportunity. Conversion forms don't have to be really big. This is actually the home page of a website for a flooring company that we worked with. And for them, we developed what we call the mini contact form. We know that if we can get someone to schedule an appointment, just request an appointment, and we can get their contact information and get my client on the phone with them, he's going to get an invitation to their home and he's going to make a sale. And so we used to have this really long contact form at the bottom of the page. And we found that just by putting this skinny little contact form throughout his website, we doubled and tripled the number of people who were requesting appointments. And then we started playing with different pages on the website, thinking about, well, what does someone want depending on where they are? If they're browsing the gallery, schedule a free consultation. If they're looking at a particular product, give them an opportunity to add that to their favorites. Create an account where they're collecting them, and then they're really engaged, love it. Now they can schedule an appointment, and we can actually ask for a little bit more information. Why? Because these visitors, the people that get all the way to this page, are more engaged. They're more committed. You don't get to this page first. You always get to this page after you've kind of navigated around. You want to lead visitors through your website. And across the board, you want to think about creating uncluttered pages. Do not treat any page on your website as if it's your only opportunity to connect with that customer. Simplify your menu. Use secondary menus inside the website to make it easier for people to jump from page to page. Great search functions. This is absolutely critical because today's visitor is less interested in trying to search their way through your menu and more interested in finding the information they want. And so it's less about information in 2 clicks and more about, when I type in a keyword or phrase, can I find what I am looking for? And when I get to the bottom of a page, is there a clear and logical next step? And the question is, what are logical next steps? Well, I'm just going to give you a ton of examples. Feel free to write them down or think about the ones that make sense for you. Maybe it's schedule an appointment or a demo. Maybe it's apply for a job or ask a question. Or maybe all you want to do is browse through all the questions everybody else already had. Read a case study, download a research paper, complete an assessment. Some of these will actually be tied to landing pages, and some of these are just next steps, like turning a page. Maybe you want to link to your product pages or your portfolio. You know, my carpet guy, we want people to go look at the gallery and view beautiful rooms. When somebody comes to my website, I want them to look at samples of our work, subscribe to the newsletter, or just read a blog. Maybe it's leave a review. If you're in a home service business, reviews are gold. Maybe it's watch a video or listen to a podcast. Think of your website like one of those 2 a.m. commercials for the Vegemita vitamin product, or those slicing and dicing things, or the Ginsu knives. And so you're leading people through and you're showing them the benefits. And just as they're about to change the channel, you yell out, "But wait, there's more." And there should always be more. At the bottom of every page, there should always be something that gets them to go, "Ooh, what about that? Ooh, what about that?" People scroll through pages on the internet. Your trick is to keep presenting them with information that gets them to continue to scroll and continue to scroll and continue to scroll. So what's next? Where do you go from here? Well, when somebody downloads stuff from your website, the next step is sending them follow-up information. Whether it's an email campaign, an auto response drip campaign, maybe signing them up for your newsletter, and maybe, if you've asked for the phone number, a phone call. But as you're planning your landing page, the last thing you need to do is also plan for what you're going to send them afterwards to keep them engaged, to build on the relationship that started with that download. Now's a great time to ask questions if you have them. And while you're thinking about that first question, I just want to remind you that this presentation is part of the content that will be going inside our digital toolbox community in September. All you have to do if you're interested is hop over to digitaltoolboxin.com and register for advanced launch notification. All of it will continue to be free to anyone who joins the community. And there is no charge to become a Handyman member. Now, a lot of our resources and advanced tools will only be available to paid members, but if you sign up for advanced notification, We'll also offer you an early bird registration opportunity if that appeals to you. Okay,